That sound like some crossbow buddy activities.
It's recording.
All right.
Sweet.
All right, guys. We're back with another one, podcast version. Unlimited Outdoors 870. Thanks for checking in with us.
You're rattling.
Oh man,
On my
we get
mic.
mud all over our good furniture.
Today we're going to talk about we'll try to start a new deal where we share one of our hunts, one of our successes, and then talk about a topic. So kind of get a little bit of entertainment with, I guess, our podcast. So this is one of Zach's deer.
Well, this is Zach's only deer.
This is Zach's biggest deer.
Biggest deer, yeah. He pretty wild day that day. I never had seen this deer. It's a mainframe 9, I think. Yeah, mainframe 9. He's got small kicker off this side. And I didn't know he was as big as he was, so I walked up on him. I hadn't seen him before. But anyway, just kind of a starting point.
What is it?
137.
137.
137 and like 6/8, but I just say 137 because
137 and some change.
137 and some change, and this was my first public land buck, so I kind of got ruined. I kind of got.
Well, it ain't.
Be honest with you, this deer is probably the reason why I have not killed another deer on public land because I've let a bunch of them go that I probably should have shot.
Well,
be totally honest.
And it's not like you haven't, had opportunities at other deer.
Oh no,
It's
yeah.
not the first hunt you went on and you killed that deer. That didn't happen that way.
No.
You've been hunting with us
Probably 3 years.
3 years before you took that deer.
Yep.
So,
but I
remember you saying you wasn't sure about if it was going to be big enough.
Oh yeah.
The thing is, we only get one buck.
Yeah.
We have to shoot a doe first on the 70,000 acres that we hunt, and then you get to kill a buck. But you only get one. You get one buck, one doe. The doe has to be first. So he was worried about shooting one and regretting shooting it because then your hunting season is pretty much over.
Well,
He's like, how am I going to know if it's big enough? I'm like, when it's big enough, if you have a question about it being big enough, then it's not big enough.
Yeah.
But when it's big enough, you'll know.
Because at that point, I'd never seen a deer that big, out on the actual hunt. I hunted in the hills in Hamburg my whole life, and you see a 100-inch deer, you've seen a big deer. So that at that point, that'd been the biggest deer I'd seen on the hoof, close enough to kill. So, but anyway, I've been hunting with Garrett and Blake probably 2.5, 3 years, and all we had was like their places, the stuff they had found, and I decided I was going to try to go out that summer and find some new spots. And me and my dad went out one day, and my brother just goofing off, and happened to see a deer cross in front of us, and I was like, well, let's go up there and get off the wheeler and just see what's going on. And granted, at this time, killed that deer 4 years ago, so that'd been 5 years ago because I killed him the year after we found the spot. So 5 years ago is when I found the spot and got off, and man, it was early, but there was deer tracks everywhere, hog tracks, and it was obviously on a ridge with thickets on either end of it, and so obviously a good spot. So I marked it. We came back and hunted it. Opening morning of bow season, and anyway, long story short, we hunted it. Saw tons of deer every time we went. Probably the most deer we've seen in 1 year in a long time. That's where me and Garrett both killed our doe at that year. And anyway, fast forward to the youth hunt. My little brother wanted to go, so I took him to a spot that I had found. Somebody had left an old ground blind in the woods, and man, I hunted that thing for probably 3 or 4 years after that. It's actually still out there in the woods. It's just all tore up and stuff, but we hunted it that morning and didn't see anything, but I'd been looking at a spot that I wanted to go to that I hadn't got to look at yet. So me and him got up probably about 10:30, 11 o'clock, walked back to the wheeler and went to where we were going and got off and walked in, and I found a little spot with a blowdown, which there's thousands of blowdowns out there, so it ain't hard to find one of those. But found a little blowdown where a creek was kind of wrapping around, and me and him saw 6 deer standing right there. We just walked in, and he was wanting to shoot a buck, and I happened to catch. We ended up seeing a good buck, but he couldn't get a shot on it, so I marked that spot. Fast forward to the gun hunt. Didn't go in there during the muzzleloader hunt because it was wrapped up with people. I remember that. And people were everywhere. So we said, we'll just back out. We hunted some other spots on the muzzleloader hunt. Didn't have no luck. Came back on the opening day of the gun hunt. Well, yeah, opening day of the gun hunt. I sat at that spot and I saw some deer. We all saw some deer that morning, but nothing to shoot. Came back Sunday. And then this is where the Sunday of opening weekend, I killed him. Be 4 years ago now. Mm-hmm. He came out chasing a doe just like they all do. He actually missed him that morning.
I missed him that year too.
Yeah, he missed him.
Missed him earlier in the
Well,
year.
the boat
It was too dark. I couldn't see my pins at all. I just guessed. But I said I thought he was about 140-inch 10 point. He had white horns.
Yeah.
137 9 point. And I was looking at this side. So
Yeah.
And the same spot where he shot at him at the bow during bow season, I was hunting across the trail from Zach. Zach was on one side of the ATV trail. He went to the right. We parked in the same place. Or he rode with me. And he went to the right and I went to the left. Well, I went to where Blake had shot at this deer at before and did a little rattling and calling that morning. And the deer busted me. He come up over the edge of this, under this, there was on a ridge. And he come up from the bottom side of that ridge and he poked his head up over it.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting on the ground with a rifle and I wasn't even like, I was thinking I was going to get a shot, 100 yards or so, and this deer pops up 60 yards right in front of me, staring right at me, and I was busted from the minute go. He had me pinned, and he never did let me get a shot at him. He immediately, as soon as he popped up over the thing, he saw me and tried to make a beeline out of there, and I shot at him as he was running off.
Yeah.
And then he went across the four-wheel trails in about 2 hours later.
2 hours later, I shot him. I think like 10:30. We said that morning. We said we're sitting till lunch, and I'd seen 6 or 7 deer that morning already, but no bucks or anything. I might have seen a spider or something. But most of them was all does or didn't have any horns I could see with my naked eye. And he came out about 10:30 chasing the doe, and he knew he messed up as soon as he came into that opening. I mean, he came, I heard him coming. I heard something coming. I could tell they were running. The doe came out first and cut across in front of me. And when he came out, he took about 3 steps out in that opening. He knew he had messed up. He locked it up. I didn't even have to stop him. He looked at me. I shot him and he fell. He fell within 20 yards of where I shot him. I watched him fall dead and everything.
We got that footage. I had we were messaging back and forth, and I heard the shot, and he messaged me. I made it back at the wheeler, and I went with him on the recovery. And we're gonna put those clips in here.
he's big.
Huh?
He's big.
Dude, bro, that's crazy.
Zach just shot a deer. We're finna go get it. It's the biggest deer of his life.
Happened so quick, bro. Just like that, it's over with.
That's what I'm talking about.
Here was beautiful.
He
Had a
pretty
double
good.
throat patch.
God dog, Zach. Holy crap. Oh my god. Oh my god. What'd you do, Zach?
Killed another swamp donkey.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
That is awesome.
That's what it's all about right there.
Do you know what? That's the deer I missed this morning.
You're lying.
I'm serious as a heart attack. That's exactly what it looked like.
I bet you that's him.
Oh my gosh.
That dude's giant, dude.
That dude
Holy crap.
is what it's all about right there.
That is awesome, bro. God, oh, yeah, that's a... Dude, he's a 10.
Yeah.
He's got the sticker in the...
He's a mainframe 9. With a sticker.
Ain't no doubt when they come out, is it?
Ain't no doubt. Golly.
Good God. Good job, boy.
I don't know how common that is. But
I don't either.
I haven't seen a lot of deer with it. You know, I wish I didn't think about it back then. Of course, you know, we don't hardly ever shoulder mount deer because of the expense.
Yeah.
And because of, I mean, it takes a long time to get your deer back. You know, and
I like the way they look skull mounted though too.
I love it. I mean,
And to be totally honest with you, I mean that deer to me looks a lot bigger than 137 skull mounted. So kind of like that. It gives it that factor too. The deer looks a lot bigger than what it really is.
yeah. I mean, when you start looking at deer, you know, at different size horns, you know, and I know these are not giants by what some people have on the wall, 170s, 180s, 200s, whatever. But these are not feeder deer. They are public land deer. You know, they're fair chase, no fences. Anybody can hunt where we hunt. You know, we're not paying no big lease fee and all that stuff and everything. So, and to me, that is the bull of the woods. You know,
I mean, dude, that year was so crazy because we had a year to hunt that spot and we learned it. And I had seen literally when me and my brother went and scouted that area, we had just been on the one side of the 4-wheeler trail. We hadn't even hunted the other side that I wanted to go look at. And I literally just found it, marked it on X and went to it. And I walked in and still to this day, even on muzzleloader season this year, I killed my doe in the same vicinity. But not only that, but I can go in there on them gun and the muzzleloader hunts and I can walk to that spot if I'm coming out midday or something. And now more than likely they're going to jump deer up right there. I'm going to see deer. So it's still a good spot. But that year was just crazy because we had seen multiple. I mean, that isn't the only deer I had seen so far that for a year. You had seen some big deer that year. He had already killed a big deer, but prior to that, he shot at this one and seen a couple more.
Yeah, I seen 3 good ones opening morning that year.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably saw 10 or 11 different bucks
that were this class.
deer before.
Yeah,
before we were either able to shoot them because we didn't have our doe, or
this was what, 4 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago. So in 4 years' time, Blake, this same year that Zach killed this one, Blake killed a 13 point. We'll show you that one. The same year, and then I had seen, I was hunting one that was he was 150-ish, somewhere in there, big 10, mainframe 10. And we were had seen multiple big deer. Fast forward 4 years later, kind of brings me into the topic that I like to talk about is in our area, the diminishing deer population.
It's getting bad.
Maybe what it attributes to. We have that Doe Rule now has been in effect for
going on 15 years.
15 years almost, or is
maybe more.
This will be 15 years. 15 years of people having to shoot a doe before they earn their buck tag. So you say, well, that's not that bad. Well, maybe not if it happened the way it's supposed to. But what is happening we've been doing this for 15 years now, and we know through talk of the grapevine and all this, lots of guys are so desperate to get that doe out of the way because they've already seen one of these somewhere or something. They're itching to get it out of the way, or they've had to pass on one of these opening morning or something, because that's happened before. That they get desperate to kill that doe and they start taking risky shots. And that's just the meat and potatoes of it.
I know one guy We're not going to name them, but he shot at 5 deer opening weekend, and none of them were closer than 50 yards, and that was with the bow.
Just because he's trying
Hit 2 of them and didn't find none of them, and he was doing that for does.
Yeah, and then me personally, last year even, I shot a doe, misjudged the yardage on it, and then my bow had been, the scope was messed up on it, and I was shooting a crossbow, and messed up, and zipper hurt, and I didn't get hurt. But then you know that deer's dead, but because you can't put your hands on it, you can't claim it as a tag. So you may be supposed to kill one, but sometimes you wind up wounding and not finding until you can find, and you may wind up killing 2 or 3. I know guys that shot 5 and couldn't recover them.
Trying to kill one.
And how many button bucks have been left out there that's been killed because I thought they were a doe?
That's the next thing is, a button buck can hide them little knots, man. They can hide them things so easy, and you can just not see them. And these guys are not, like, if they finally do make a good shot on one, they have a second decision. They got to make a decision to shoot or not shoot. They got an opportunity. It looks like a doe. I hope it is a doe, so I can go hunt this buck I've got on camera or whatever, And then they get down there and they finally make a good shot. They find it and recover it, and it's a daggone button buck. They're not wasting their tag. They're leaving that thing laying, and it's not ethical and it's not good. But that's what's happening.
That's what's happening. Yeah,
that is what's happening. That happens multiple times a year. So not only are you messing up your doe population, which is your whole population, because everything comes from the doe. You're cutting that down, but now you're messing up your future buck population because you're killing the younger bucks. So I get that we want to have mature deer, but my thing is, we had mature deer.
literally 4 years ago. Like this is how quick it's diminished. Not only 4 years ago did we see multiple shooter bucks that were 120 plus inches. But in the span of 4 years, that has you go from saying we've seen 10 or 11 before, that year, 10 or 11 different bucks that were shooters. I'd be willing to bet you to say now that we might have seen, between the 3 of us, which I didn't hunt a whole lot, but between the 3 of us, we might have seen 5, maybe 6 different shooter bucks that we saw on hoof, maybe.
Yeah, I saw 3 of those.
Only big deer I seen was on cutoff, I think.
So see, like he didn't even see a shooter buck. Yeah. I say a shooter buck, a buck that you would call 120 plus.
Did you see a shooter this year?
I did not see a shooter this year.
I went to January, and I saw one shooter on the gun hunt that I would have shot got by me. I missed a good one in January with my bow, and then I finally killed that one. But he wasn't even, I wouldn't call it a shooter. If that would have come by me earlier in the year, I would have shot him.
Yeah.
I just shot him because it was January 18th and it was a snow or ice, whatever you want to call it. And it was a unique situation. And I needed to get some footage for video, and it presented an opportunity. And at that point, you take what you can get.
Yeah.
But I was tired of eating tag sandwiches because I'd ate tag sandwiches for the last 2 years.
Me and you both there.
Yeah. So,
I haven't had a problem. Which I say this next year, I'll be in January trying to get my doe. Last couple years, I went to the same spot and I've been able to get my doe. Praise God. It's just like clockwork. Both times I went, muzzleloader hunt, come through there and shoot them. But even that spot, me and you found that spot 2 years ago now. And that was a spot that produced a giant for me that I saw.
Yeah,
with my bow, and I had him at 50 yards, and I guess I don't know. We don't know really what happened. Now we can't figure out if he crossed my scent walking in, or if he just. I grunted him in, and he came from probably about 75, 80 yards from another thicket. So I'm assuming he had come as far as he wanted to come and just hung up. But anyway,
he didn't see what he was looking for.
But anyway, yeah, that was So it ain't. We're not saying like the deer have just vanished, but the numbers of the big deer that we're seeing have definitely went down.
And the numbers that have been actually checked in at the check station.
Oh, dude,
they went down drastically.
It's not just our little group.
Yeah,
it's everybody. Yeah,
what I would call this caliber deer. I only know
there's only 2 deer over 130 checked in this year.
The whole year.
Mm-hmm. Gun hunt, muzzleloader, bow, everything.
And dude, the year this deer right here was killed, that deer was the biggest deer killed on Pheasanthaw for about 7 hours. And then you had a 168 checked in, a 170 checked in. I know at least another 160 checked in, and a couple 150. I mean, that year there was big deer kill.
And the water was up that year. Now it wasn't just terribly high, but we do have that going on. That's one thing that makes our spot unique. We have a dam, a locking dam on the south end of our refuge. And when we get a lot of rain up north, it all comes down. They'll hold it up here and flood the woods. So when they flood the woods, the deer got to go somewhere. And if it happens during deer season, then it's it can push the deer around and move the deer around, and it can be good for the hunting. But that year, the water was up a little bit. They didn't have as many places to hide, but I think that might have been the peak of where the Doe Rule was working.
Yeah. I think that was like you're saying, the peak. I think that is some of the, what do you say? What's the word I'm looking for? Like I guess the fruits of the light from the past years being able to allow them to grow. But now we've reached a point where, I mean, if you see this is what's wild to me. When you do kill a doe, that doe I killed this year had and I know some people are probably going to bust me for saying this, but it had a fawn on its side, but it didn't have spots. I mean, it was a big enough deer to take care of itself. But I know that was its last year's baby.
Yeah.
But that deer literally did not weigh 100 pounds.
No,
I think
60 something
weighed 60 something pounds, and it was over a year old deer.
Yeah.
So not only are it's the deer. You can't just look at a deer. What I'm trying to say is, like, everybody's like, oh, well, you got to look at the size of the deer. If a deer comes in by itself and it's small, 90% of the time it's a button buck. Well, where we're at, no, that's not the case.
No.
Because you got a deer that walks in and looks like a dang dog, and it's almost 2 years old.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, I mean, it's real hard to say. I don't know. It's just you just gotta, I guess, just do the best you can to make sure it's not what it is. And
yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I think the population has definitely declined numbers wise, because used to they added 10,000 acres, 12,000 acres last year, and we had more people. I've run into more people than I ever have, and it's not because we have less land, because we have more than we've ever had. It's because you have pockets of deer now. The population numbers have went down so much that you can't go anywhere to see deer. Used to, we didn't even hunt our does in the same areas that we hunted bucks. We had areas that we called our doe areas and areas we called our buck areas, because we didn't want to see this come out when we didn't have our doe.
Yep.
We didn't want to even have that, and you don't want to educate them on going in and out and everything while you're trying to kill a doe. So because that diminishes. The more traffic you're in a buck's area, the less chance you have of getting him, because he can pattern you way quicker than you can pattern him. So you try to stay out of those core areas, and now you can't. Like, you find deer or there's no deer. And if there's deer, you're going to see something like this, and I say you're going to see something like this. You don't see these near as often as you do.
No.
They're few and far between now. Really, they are. You
used to get mad because you'd have to let those go every year before you got your doe.
Man, it's like that 6 point you had to let go opening morning like 3 years ago. That's the biggest. That's the biggest 6 point we've ever seen at all. Like, no joke. That deer was at least 130 inches, and he was a freaking 6 point.
Yeah, giant. That deer probably died of old age.
And that's what it happened 2 years in a row. I had to let both go because I didn't have my doe.
And this ain't just for adults. I mean, if there's a kid that's 12, 13 years old and he wants to start bow hunting with his dad, that 12 or 13-year-old has to let 130.
When I was like,
any buck deer, period.
When I was like 8 years old, I had to let go 130 years.
Yeah. Because you had to have your doe before.
On the youth hunt.
Now they have changed that rule though. Now on the youth hunt with the rifle, a youth is able to just kill a buck if they don't have their doe. But
they changed that rule because of him.
But if they
As I called and complained.
if you're bow hunting before or after the gun hunt, then you still have to kill, right? You still have to kill a doe before a buck if you're a youth.
Yep.
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 Yeah, it's just on the youth hunt itself, with the rifle. Yeah, it's to me, in my mind, I get the biologist and the numbers and blah 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 blah. I get that. The less does you have, the more the bucks have to be moved around, and I don't understand how that works up north. People don't hunt up north.
They don't have doe rules up north.
They don't have doe rules up north.
Now you see some people on YouTube, they'll go and have doe days and they'll shoot a bunch of does. But not everybody's doing that.
And it's almost like, I understand why they started it.
Well,
but you feel like it should have been like on some kind of cycling system where like they had it for like 2 or 3 years and then they took a year or two off and then they had another 2 or 3 years and then took a couple years off. Like rotate it out.
Well, when we started with the doe rule, we still had less deer than they have up north already.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me when Mother Nature has a way of taking care of her own.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The blue tongue, black fly, CWD, all that stuff. That's Mother Nature.
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast,
That's a whole nother podcast
on that CWD stuff.
But up north they don't do this, and they still have mature animals. It's age. You gotta let a buck. You want big bucks? You gotta let them go. Put a horn restriction on. Put an antler restriction on. Keep it at 1 buck. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be restricted to if that walks out and I want to shoot it and I can't because I don't have a doe. I haven't killed my doe. That is absurd to me. Because if you only get one, what's the difference if you kill it without killing a doe or if you kill it before you kill a doe if the population is already in shambles anyway?
And then you got game wardens going and shooting 40 deer in a night during summertime.
I was sitting there thinking about that.
Oh my gosh,
dude! I got very good intel on that deal from somebody that was there firsthand. They went out and they've done this the last 2 years. It wasn't just that 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
They did it that year plus the last year.
Over 100 deer doing it
in 2 years. And he said you would not believe the amount of deer that they killed that they had Coke can size holes in their head
because they're looking for CWD.
Testing for CWD.
That for 15 years
that
we've been
blows
killing
my
does
mind.
first and letting bucks go because for 15 years they've been requiring the hunters to be disciplined to try to grow animals like these, and then you're going to go
at night in April
with the bucks like this that have no horns on their head and just willy-nilly you shoot 40 deer in a night. And one night they did 40, one night they did 60 something in 2 different years in a row.
I think they've only had 1 deer out of over 100 deer test
I don't think they found a single case yet. The only case that has said to be found
was deer
was
season.
one that was checked in supposedly on Felsenthal. And you know how that goes. They could kill that deer anywhere and was claiming it as their doe.
And could have said it has CWD and they didn't know what they're talking about. They call 5-year-old deer 2.5 years old sometime and vice versa.
I'm not going to sit here and say I know more about stuff than a biologist.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. But, I understand they got reasons for doing what they do and saying what they say. And I'm not educated on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I know in the field what we've been seeing. And everybody has bad years. But it is continually getting worse.
For everybody.
Not just us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made me a better hunter as far as that goes. And
because you've had to go from.
You've had to
find them.
Not as easy as it used to be.
No.
And that part of it I like, but at the same time, when I've worked my butt off, and everybody out here has worked their butt off to abide by the rules, and then the ones who are enforcing the rules go out there or making the rules go out there and kill 100 deer that you may have let go. That might have been the buck that you were hunting. That might have been the one you had on camera and knew was there and had seen the last few years. And they go out there and they just slaughter them to check for disease, when they could have They could have done that anytime. They could have done it during season.
It'd been better to do it during season.
Yeah.
To where you can say, okay, we're going to shoot.
But that's so disrespectful. I mean, if you want to go kill, I mean, there's 100 different ways of doing that. But you're going to require people to be letting these deer go and abiding by these rules, and then you don't do it. You know, it's the same thing with the hogs.
Dude,
They shoot hogs out of a helicopter on opening day of bow season, but yet the bow hunter, it's illegal for him to shoot the hog with a bow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what sense is that?
They did that the opening morning of teal season. They had that. There was people. There's a video out there where the guys are literally sitting in the boat in the edge of the timber, videoing the helicopter while they shoot out of a helicopter down into the water at hogs.
Yeah, I seen a guy was sitting in his deer stand opening morning and videoed a helicopter coming by. He was on the edge of the water. He was in the deer stand.
That's wild.
And you know, I mean, if that's the way you want to control the population and that's the best way, great. But why are you making the bow hunter not shoot the deer? Not shoot the pig. We can't shoot a pig until November.
I saw more pigs this year than I saw deer.
At this point, we have more pigs.
That's no joke. I saw more pigs than I saw. I killed 4.
At this point, we have more pigs than we do deer. The restrictions are actually, worse. You can shoot deer longer than you can pigs.
I killed 4 with a rifle.
Yeah.
A muzzle. I killed 1 with a muzzleloader and 3 with a rifle.
Yeah. I killed 1 with a muzzleloader this year. One time I shot with a bow.
Both of those videos are on our page too, by the way.
Yeah. But anyway, it kind of gets me fired up because I know he's had to let 130-inch deer go
a couple times.
Dead to rights.
I could have like 5 or 6 130s on the wall instead of 3 now.
Yeah, and I had a 140-inch 10-point that I videoed, and I shot the doe in front of him, and educated him, and then that deer, I never saw that deer again.
You're not going to. Those are the kind of deer.
When you educate a deer like that, he's gone.
It's like that. It's like that big deer that 2 years ago that we saw on the muzzleloader. I saw on the muzzleloader. You were sitting there. You didn't see him, but I saw him, and then I saw him later that year with the bow. Mm-hmm. I hadn't seen that deer again.
Yeah,
probably ain't going to. That deer's probably.
Yeah, deer like that are
gone.
They're hard. I mean, you're fortunate to get to see them and get on them and pattern them that year. And if you are ever like that 6-point, we hunted him 4 years in a row. Mm-hmm. We saw him in person 3 times, 3 years in a row. And the first time I shot at him was on the gun hunt, and he was young. He was probably, I say he's young. He was probably 4 then. He was a big, mature deer, but he was still smaller horn. He just had that big frame. Mm-hmm. And then the next year, he got thicker horns. And then the last year we saw him, every year he was in a different spot. Yeah, and that's one thing I love about hunting the river bottoms and the water coming up and going down. The deer have to leave and they come back, and everything changes every year. You can't hunt the same spot every year and expect it to be fruitful. You know? And so that keeps you on your toes, and that's part of the challenge. And I love that part of it. But, at the same time, I don't understand why this refuge is doing this when you have other refuges that don't have this rule that are just as successful or more successful.
In my opinion, there's a couple close that have bigger deer than you would see on Felsenthal.
Cut off the deer average that I seen this year average at least 50 pounds more. As far as body weight.
Yeah. Now, I ain't talking about horns. I'm just talking about body weight.
Body weight, they're just way bigger.
And I don't know, that may have something to do with what they got to eat. May have something to do. But it's basically all the same.
Yeah,
in this area.
Bottoms in both places.
Yeah.
So I think it's maturity. There's a lot less pressure over there at cutoff because if you hunt it, you got to walk.
Access.
Mm-hmm. You got to walk. You got to put some miles in on them feet.
Same thing with overflow. There's a couple 4-wheeler trails that overflow, but you still got to walk.
Yeah.
And you got to know where you're at over there because people say, Felsen, you get lost in Felsenthal. Buddy, you go to overflow and have to walk out at night and you don't know where you're at, you get lost quick over there.
Yeah. To me, it's crazy the enforcement of these rules, and I think it's to the point to where even some of the people that are enforcing them are tired of it. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous for it to be the way it is. For it to be going on this long, I have no problem with bettering anything, you know, but enough is enough. You know, at what point is the deer population low enough? Because it seems to me that whoever is making these rules,
They don't want any deer.
they don't want people deer hunting.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
That's kind of that has to have something to do with
to
it.
that point where you just want fewer people hunting the public land that they're supposed to be allowed to hunt. You know, you want what's the goal here? What's the goal? I mean, I figured the goal was to, as a public land place, was to provide a place for the guy who doesn't have money to go and hunt Davis Island or the Mississippi Islands or whatever and spend $15,000-$20,000 a year on a lease. I know you get leases cheaper than that, but to hunt quality deer like this, there's not a ton of places to do that. I mean, you would pay big money to go kill a deer like that in Texas.
Everybody that I've talked to here that I haven't been in a deer lease since I graduated high school, I've hunted with y'all, but from what I've been hearing, to get in a decent deer lease, I know the old deer lease I was in used to be, I think it may still be, it used to be 4,000 acres, maybe a little less than that now, but it's the last time I checked, it's $750 for 1 year, and you're not.
Yeah.
Well, I take that back. They killed a deer. They killed a 130 this year, but
not bad.
That's going to be. I mean, I don't know, man. It's the difference. Like that's going to be hill deer. When I say hill deer, it's going to be pencil horn mostly, pine hill deer, white horn deer. But river bottom deer, to hunt a good river bottom around here, you're going to pay $1,400-$1,500 easy for a year.
To be with private land.
Private land, to hunt out of a box stand, feed, and all that. So, I mean, and some people can't afford to do that. And it just sucks that you have a place to go and it's almost like they don't care. Right? They just.
Yeah. And it's almost like they have an agenda to make it worse, you know, because nothing makes any sense to me. Like I say that the numbers. For instance, I heard a guy say that he had went from point A to point B and saw, 0 deer, and in the past he made that trip and he would see 10.
Yeah.
It was a large encompassing area that he traversed across, and one of the lead people who were over this told him if he saw any deer, that it was too many.
That's a problem.
So, I mean, what is the goal here? The goal here is for there not to be you not to see any deer, and then you don't have then your numbers are right. Well, what good is that to anybody? If you can't go out there and find deer, even if they're there and they're just hidden, I mean, there's deer out there that we never see. Because they're just that good at hiding. But is that the goal? I mean, what's the goal? Who is that benefit? Is what I guess one of the question is who does that benefit? Does it to go out there and not see anything doesn't benefit me or you? I don't think it benefits them because nobody's going to buy a license. Nobody's going to go hunt in a place where they can't see no deer. So I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So it's
a real frustrating topic.
It's a very frustrating topic to me. I mean, we've been fighting this and there's so many bad points about it to me that you say the good outweighs the bad. No, there's no good at this point.
We're to a point where there's not any really good that I'm seeing at all because they say, from what I've been hearing, they say they're trying to manage the pig population, which they're obviously not, because like I said, I saw more pigs. Everybody I've talked to saw more pigs than they saw deer this year. And you can go, this is what don't make no sense to me. You can go coon hunting with a dog. You can go squirrel hunting with a dog on Felsenthal, but you can't go hog hunt with dogs on Felsenthal.
Right.
My squirrel dog I got at the house.
Yeah.
She hadn't done it yet, but she's going to someday probably. She's gonna run a deer just as much as that coon dog's gonna run a deer, just as much as that hog dog's gonna run a deer. It makes no sense to me why you can't go hog hunting down there with a dog. It makes absolutely no sense. And I'm gonna tell you this: a hog hunter with dog, in my personal opinion, is gonna be able to do more damage than any hog trap, any helicopter with an AR. Because hey, killed a hog this year with my muzzle loader. Wanted some pork to put in the freezer. Killed it. Then had to drag it 150 yards because you can't go get it with your four-wheeler, which I understand that rule. But so we drug it 150 yards to the side by side, got it to the house, started to skin it down. And guess what it had in its back left ham? Bullet hole. And I know people are gonna say, well, maybe it more than likely wasn't out of that helicopter. Well, I don't know if it was somebody was down there hog hunting, it wasn't supposed to be, because that was the only on the muzzle runs was the first hunt you should be allowed to shoot it with a rifle. So I had to throw that pig away.
Yeah.
Which I'm not against. I mean, hog's a hog. Some people don't like eating them, whatever. They're a nuisance. People say whatever, but most time if I kill something, I'm gonna try to take it out to where I can eat it. That's the whole point of me going and doing it.
Right.
And that we did all that work and everything, and it's wasted.
To the point on the dogs, it is a definite 100% I'm letting squirrel hunters and coon hunters run dogs, but I'm not letting hogs. I think they should be able to do it, but it should be after.
Oh, no doubt.
Deer season.
No doubt. It don't need to be
because
deer and deer
you're
season.
going to mess up, And I mean, even hog hunters around here, most of them respect deer season,
Yeah.
So if you go out there at night running pigs all night long, even the coon hunters, they don't run during deer season.
No, I think it opens up the last weekend of the gun hunt.
The day after the gun hunt closes, coon season opens, and I still bow hunt after their
and we still see deer.
But like I say, if you open that up to hog hunters, and it's pretty popular down here.
Yeah.
You got a lot of guys that have dogs and they enjoy it and everything, and there's a lot of places, and there's a lot of.
But there again, that's what I'm saying. There's so many opportunities for the government, whatever you can't tell me from 70,000 acres that you couldn't do twice a year a hog hunting tournament on Felsenthal.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
You know how many people would be entered in that thing?
And they would pay to get it.
So not only would the government or the place make money off of it, but you would be able to work on the population of your hog population.
Right.
It'd be a win-win for everybody.
They don't need money. They don't need money, and it's just extra work for them.
It's just extra work for them.
Because they have government money that they don't even know what to do with half the time, and they have to spend it or they lose it.
Yeah.
So they SB2 10 miles of a gravel road that wasn't nothing wrong with. Literally.
Man, this is what we're dealing with. I mean, everybody. This is kind of turned into what people are probably going to call a rant video, but this is kind of stuff we've been sitting on and we haven't really talked about, because you don't want to be you really don't want to sit here and be the guy. We're not really nagging. Like we've been putting up with this for a long time, and it's just getting worse.
It could be better, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it has been. This is what I'll say. I know guys who hunted hunted Felsenthal 30 years ago, and would see, 30 deer a day. Okay, well maybe the numbers were high, but they still killed big bucks. There was no difference in the bigness of the buck. No. It was just they had to let some get old, and the age of the deer. So what is the purpose if the bucks can get old and get big when there is a giant population?
Well, if I'm seeing 30 deer, there's more chance of me letting go smaller deer than there is if I'm only seeing a deer every other hunt.
The year I killed this deer, I was seeing, no joke, I was seeing anywhere from 10 to 15 deer sit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I let a couple smaller bucks walk because I'm seeing a bunch of deer.
A big deal. I can let a 100-inch deer go because I've seen 10 of them.
Yeah.
You know. Now what happens if you see a 100-inch deer and you've been hunting all year long and you ain't even hardly seen?
You better shoot it.
Bigger than a 4-point.
You better shoot it.
It's gonna get killed. So is it doing any good?
It's not.
No, it's not. It's actually hurting the population and your buck population. So what is the reason behind it? You know, because the number thing and the CWD thing, I don't get, because up north, from my understanding, I don't hunt up north, but the guys I know that do say a deer can live like 6 years with the disease.
Don't even live that long down here.
You don't get 6-year-old deer in the south. There's a redneck behind every tree, you know, that's gonna kill a deer before it gets 6 years old most of the time.
Most of the time
on his meat most of the time, you know. So you don't get very many 6-year-old deer. That deer in the middle right there was somewhere between 7 and 8 years old, and he is an anomaly. You know, that just don't happen down here hardly. His head is so much bigger. He was a 200+ pound deer.
That you don't see that.
You don't see that down here hardly ever. You know, if you see that, that is a rare thing. That's like winning the lottery. You know, most of these deer up here on this wall are probably 2.5, 3.5 years old. You know, at most. And you know, there again, you know, age. We need to be able to let our deer get to that age. And when you're confining everybody's hunting experience down to, you know, you got to take what you can get.
And that's
People
I mean,
aren't going to quit. They're going to take what they can.
Yeah, that's to the point where we're at. I mean, it's not. I mean, I don't have to kill a 130-inch deer every year, but I would like the opportunity to.
Right.
Like I have nothing against anybody that goes out and shoots a 100-inch deer the opening weekend of gun season. If that's what you want to kill, man, I just want people to have that opportunity.
Right.
Because now literally barely able to see multiple deer over 100 inches.
Yeah.
Because now we've reached a point to where, I mean, we're still to the point where the deer we're seeing, these right here are a dime a dozen, and your middle class deer are now basically basket racks because they're all gone. I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, that's like I said, I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how you fix it. I mean, guys like us that, you know, have no say so in anything. It's disheartening. But I'm not going anywhere. This is where I live.
Oh yeah.
And this is, you know, where I hunt. And I still enjoy it, you know, but like I say, it's getting so difficult and it's getting more dangerous because people are running into each other more because they're all hunting the same areas.
Dude, we saw, how far were we back off in there opening day of the gun hunt when my dad and brother came in? We were deep off in the woods.
Opening day of the gun hunt? Where'd we go?
I don't really want to say that out loud.
Oh, yeah.
We went...
where Hayden got his doe.
Yeah, Hayden got his doe. Old boat capsized.
Oh!
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's way up there.
And me and my brother had somebody on top of us at daylight.
Yeah, literally, Felsenthal is 5 miles from my house, from where we're sitting now. And it took us an hour to drive there.
Yeah, just trying to get away from people.
That was just in the truck.
And when we got...
And then we rode the ATV, the side by side, another 30 minutes getting down. And then we walked for, I don't know, I sent y'all down, and then I sent your dad came with me, and we both had people walk in on us. And we were...
I'll be willing to say we're probably 4 miles from the truck. Probably, easy.
Oh, yeah.
At least, further than that.
Further than that. Probably 5 or 6 miles from the truck. We were probably... we're a mile and a half from the river. 5 or 6 miles from the truck. And from the ATV trail, the closest one was like 0.3 of a mile, you know. So everybody up there that was in that area had traveled these kind of distances to get there, and we still had people walking on top of us, you know. And we were in good spots, but you still had people walking on top of you, you know, because the good spots are all You know, you got deer over here, deer over here. You got deer right here, and that's all the people gravitate to all the signs. You know, and if that's what's going to wind up happening, is even though you have more land, you have more people get on top of each other.
That's right.
You know, so it's making it unsafer. It's making it because I was not very happy at all when I've gotten up at 3 a.m. and done all this work to get in there, and then at daybreak, here comes Billy Bob walking in here at daylight. You know, and I'm like,
well,
you know,
there goes at least the first couple hours of the hunt right there.
First, you know, the best part of the hunt, break a day, he's walking in. I'm thinking, here comes Big Rat Sad Daddy coming through here breaking these limbs, and out pops his orange vest. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and that's probably, we understand that's part of public hunt. I mean, we understand all that, but 4 years ago, when we're 4 years ago, 8 miles from the truck, off from the truck, 8 miles, 40-minute before the ride in. Literally the only bike up there. Yeah. And now we don't even go to this spot during the gun hunt. Because there's 15, 20 bikes, and it's lined up from where you put your wheeler in all the way to wherever the dang thing ends. I mean, they're everywhere.
Yeah, because everybody is hunting harder because it's harder to find deer.
Yep.
You know.
What?
So like I say, I don't understand it. It does not make a lick of sense to me. If you want to grow deer, let them get old. Put horn restrictions on them. Make it have a 20-inch main beam. Make it be a 120-inch deer. Something, you know, but allow you to shoot. You know, if you mess up and shoot the wrong thing, have a penalty. Have points on your license. Have something, you know, to where you hold people accountable. That's fine. But to do it by killing the whole population, by killing the does, it's not working. It's 15 years of not working. You know, at what point do you see that it's not working? I don't see how it's gotten better. I don't see anything better about it. So, I mean, 5 years ago when the water came up, everything.
You got to really see what you have.
You got to really see what you have.
And there's another thing too, which the last few years the water has been down, but we've still been seeing deer. So I mean, can't nobody really say, well, you got to go find a deer. I mean, we've been seeing deer. That has not been the problem. The problem is seeing mature deer.
Yeah. And
the mature deer, we've been seeing mature deer every year too, but the number of mature deer, I can't talk, that we're seeing has drastically went down the gutter.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I know guys that hunted it 30 years ago that just completely quit because they're so disgusted.
Well, they
won't even buy their Arkansas tag anymore. You know, they won't even come up here anymore because they're just disgusted with it because it ain't like it used to be, and it ain't. You know, even 15 years ago when I started hunting, it's not like it used to be. I got the opportunity to hunt it a couple of years before they put the Doe Rule in, so I've been probably hunting for 17 years now.
And you could kill 2 bucks back then.
Back then, you could kill 2 bucks, and you didn't have to kill a doe first. And
no, you got a ticket for that.
The first year.
That was
I killed 2 6 points the very first year I was in there with Papa, and the only reason why I got a ticket was because I killed both of them on the gun, not because I didn't have a doe.
I thought it was because you only allowed 2 deer, 1 buck, and 1 doe.
No, you were allowed 3 deer, but you could not kill both bucks on the gun hunt. It was 1 buck, 1 doe for the gun hunt. Mm-hmm. Now you were allowed 3 deer back then, or more than 3. You kill many does. All you wanted on the does, but nobody ever killed them. So I get why they did it with the Doe Rule. Maybe we did have a little bit too much of a population back then, but this has gone on for way too long, and it's getting ridiculous now.
Hopefully they'll figure something out. I don't know.
I mean, you can't manage 70,000 acres, in my opinion. And I might be totally wrong. I'm just done reading it, but you can't manage 70,000 acres like you can high fence. You know that's the math they're trying to apply. Is high fence rules to 70,000 acres of public land.
The floods
fence.
every year.
that is surrounded. This is another thing. Our high fence is surrounded by
Killers.
private deer hunter,
Killers.
deer clubs,
feeders and killers.
feeders and killers. And when I say they're shooting whatever comes
Right.
across that red line, so that is our high fence. So
Like I say,
I mean,
and they're not able to police.
it doesn't make sense.
You know, they're not able to police, and what they're doing, it's driving people to not pay attention to the rules and take their chances. Is what's happening.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
That's exactly what's happening, and that's not fair. Why would you have rules that push people that way?
Mhm.
You know, because you're not going to keep a redneck from hunting. You're not going to do it. This is the South. That's what's happening. You know, when it gets deer season, I'm going hunting somewhere. You know, it is what it is. But a lot of these guys get disgusted. They don't quit. They just get slick. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you're not getting the reports on that. You know what I'm saying? If that's happening, y'all hear me? That's happening all over the place. I'm not saying we're doing it because we're not, but that's happening. You're not getting those numbers. You're not seeing that data. You know, that's
It's funny we're talking about this, and now one of the biologists lives next door.
oh, has he bought it for sure?
That's what I was told.
That'd be cool.
Maybe you can come over and talk to us.
I mean, I'm not
Hey,
bad.
okay, here's the deal. Like anybody that watches this that has information that we need to know about, please
And
hit us up because I would love to get some answers on what's going on.
And I'm sure that a lot of this is grandfathered in. Like I don't think they got the same biologist they had when they made these rules or whatever. And I don't even think the biologist has the power to change it. You know, he probably is the one that just records the numbers
Yeah.
that he's shown. You know what I'm saying? But so I'm not trying to bash anybody other than the ones who are making this happen. You know,
Yeah.
you got a job to do. Understand that. But whoever the head dog is over Felsenthal, whoever you are, you need to get in the woods. Is what you need to do. You need to get in the woods and hunt the area that you're making rules about. That's what needs to happen because you'll change your mind if you start hunting.
If you care about deer hunting,
You know,
that's the thing.
if you care about deer hunting at all.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't, then you know that's obvious. That's really what I feel is happening. I feel like we've got somebody over the rules who really does not care about deer hunting or care about the deer hunter, or they're just filling a position. You know, it's way it feels to me.
You're pretty accurate.
Actually, I don't know what the rank is and who makes the rules. I know there's probably a top dog somewhere that's getting his orders from somebody else. But I don't know. It just seems like to me that maybe, just maybe, we want gun control. We want to control these rednecks. You know, why not take away the reason that they want to have their guns in the first place? You know, it just makes sense to me. That's the only thing that makes any sense to me because we're not doing this for the population. We're not doing this for the hunter. We're not doing this for Felsenthal or any other game reserve to be a better place to hunt. That's not why it's happening. So why is it happening? You know, maybe somebody can enlighten us.
Please.
I
need some understanding because I don't understand it. Which we're gonna keep on killing our does, and because that, I mean, hey, thing is, you gotta do what you gotta do, and we really haven't had. I mean, we've done what we've had to do. We've killed does, got our does killed, and
I mean, honestly, my favorite thing about it, I guess probably my only favorite thing about it is it has made me a better hunter.
yes,
because we've had to hunt.
you didn't have no option. I mean, this year, all the stuff that normally. And that's another thing about the water being down. The water being down's also made us better hunters because I shot them hogs in a break that's normally waist deep.
Yeah.
And we were literally just wading out. I was in basically just little shin boots.
But also, the water being down is going to make us better hunters
When the water comes back
when
up.
the water comes back up because we know the shallow spots, we know where we're going to be at. You know?
We really took advantage of that this year. We went through there and we marked the high spots of those breaks. We marked where animals were crossing it with the water down. I mean, so I'm excited. I'm hoping this year, I don't know the way it's going to lay out with as much rain as we're getting right now, but I'm really kind of hoping the water does stay up just so we can test that theory to see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say the main thing that got under my skin about the whole situation that really just chapped my behind is when they killed all those deer. That we've been trying to let grow, and got bucks with no horns on their heads laying all over the place, checking for a disease that none of them have, and you're killing animals that you've been making other people raise, and then you just go out and slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
That's as contradictory as it gets, and
Or just shooting out of a helicopter to the ground on public land that people are standing on.
Yeah, with
this is ridiculous.
With seasons open.
This is stupid.
I mean, if there's no season open, but I mean, you can actually be out there in a lot of places all year long on open trails and stuff. But a lot of those places are inaccessible. You're not supposed to be out there. But when there's a season open, you are.
Yeah.
You can be. That shouldn't be happening.
No.
If your population is out of control to the point where you need to be doing that on those days, then you ought to see you have a problem. And you ought to open it up to the public to help you take care of that problem.
There's never a reason a hog should be protected.
Never.
They can multiply so fast. It's just
I don't even know how many litters can them thing? I say litters. I say litters because they have a bunch.
One female hog can have a litter, I think at less than a year old. She can have her first litter.
How many can they have a year though? They got to have multiple?
Can have 3 litters a year and up to 13 in a litter.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And then a year from now you got 13 or say half of those are females. You got 7.
The population
6 or 7 that can have 13.
It's just insane.
3 times a year.
It's crazy. When I was his age, you didn't see hogs. Like, you didn't hear about it. I mean, very rarely there was there hogs. But it was because there was no regulation on them and people would hunt them and kill them.
The best way, there's 2 ways that I would say probably were the best ways to do it. Either hunt them with a dog, because you're going with a dog. It's better because you can find them quicker and you can kill them. But it's going to run most of them out. They're going to come back. But the best way to do it, they make those hog eye camera traps now. David Ellis, y'all, he's got a YouTube page. David Ellis, it's just y'all. That's what he goes by. But he uses the hog eye camera system, and it's a trap. They got a couple of different setups, but the one that I like the most, it's a circle trap that goes up in the air, and you're able to catch what he calls sounders.
Yeah.
So you can catch
the whole sounder.
Not only you can catch the whole sounder of hogs, and you can take them all out at one pop.
Yeah.
So there isn't any getting away that the dog, because you may bay a group of hogs. There may be 20 hogs in it. And you can only bay one hog at a time normally.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you could get a trapping system incorporated to where
they have that in
but how much are they doing it though? That's the question.
I work on side by sides for a living, and one of my customers is NCRS, and I work on their vehicles, and that's what they do. They're paid by the government, hired by farmers to come in and eradicate the hogs off their places, and they put up the nets, big round nets. The hogs can get under them, but they can't get out. And they've told me they've caught like up to 77 pigs in one trap.
Wow.
Of course the pigs get wise to it, but and you have to keep moving it around to different places because a pig is smarter than you think. Once he sees that he's not getting out of that, if he ever gets out of it, he is not ever getting back in it.
Oh yeah.
They're not dumb.
Yeah.
They're not dumb out. So you can't just set up a little trap and just keep that trap in the same area and keep trapping the pigs till you get them all caught. It don't work that way.
Yeah.
So you have to catch a bunch of them all at one time, diminish the population in that area, move to another move to another area, and then come back to that area when there's more of a population that is not seeing the trap.
Yeah.
So that's what they do is they go around, and that's how they try to keep the numbers down. And that's very, very effective. But it's government paid, you know. And when it comes down to government money, there's rules about what you do and how you do it and all that I don't know. But that isn't a very effective way of doing it. And I know that Felstar has had some traps in the past, but they weren't like this. And like I say,
they got traps down there, and you see them every time you go check a deer in. They're on trailers. Yeah. I don't know how much they use them, but they're there.
Well, like I say, they have to move them around, or the pigs in that area get used to them.
Yep.
You know, and so it's not as effective as you might think. You know, you have to have a really big trap to catch the whole sounder, you know, all at one time, and wipe them out of that area.
And another thing I want to say too, because we got some people that we know that work at Felsenthal, and there's people there trying.
Oh, 100%.
There's people there trying their best because 100%. You know they grew up hunting there. That they want it to be the best it can be for us and the other people to come hunt it, but they can't do it all by themselves. And exactly, and they're not the one making the rules, and they have to follow the rules or they'll be out of a job. So it's kind of like, but it's so there are people there that care. We're not trying to say that. It's just we're talking to the head honcho, whoever the head honcho is that is over all the people that have to work this place. Yeah. Whoever the head honcho is, I feel like that's the problem. Yeah. Wherever these rules and regulations and orders are coming from,
down from somewhere, I don't know where the problem's coming from.
We just got a problem.
But you know, I'm with you. There's a lot of good people working there, and I'm not trying to bash on nobody in particular individual. I don't know who makes the decision to put these rules into effect for a blanket area.
Yep.
You know, I think the hog rule is a blanket thing for all federal reserves.
Yeah.
So that might be in effect for every state. You know.
Yeah.
And
we don't know.
They work in other places.
Yeah.
They may not have the same rules that we have. You know, but I don't think it's definitely not a good way of doing it because it's not working here.
Yeah.
You know, I think it needs to be individualized for your place, for your area, you know. And, you know, the hog problem is a problem. But, like I say, the deer problem is a whole other issue to me. I can deal, I don't mind seeing hogs every now and then. It gives me something to look at.
Because we're not seeing deer anymore.
Right. Exactly. When you're not seeing deer, it is nice to see hogs.
Yeah, it is nice to see something.
See something, you know, just sitting there, like, because you get so aggravated, like it's really discouraging. You know, you scout and you put miles and miles in on your equipment and on your feet and try your best and, you know, hunt the wind and hunt the weather and all this, and then it's just nothing, you know, there's nothing, you know. So, I mean, in places that you know, are supposed to be good. By all the sign, all the everything, you know, it's just because the numbers have just gone down the tubes, you know, because they have 70,000 acres to roam, and this might be some good sign over here, but that little pocket of deer that's over here today might be a mile over here tomorrow, you know, and you hunting here when they're over there.
Yep.
You know, and it's just not like used to. If you hunted sign, you was gonna see deer.
Yep.
You know, and it's just the population is drastically diminished, and it's getting ridiculous. So that's our rant for today. Sorry to be a downer.
It's not really a downer. It's just, I mean, it's something that needs to be discussed because I think the only way it's going to get any better is if the people that are actually out there hunting and putting the time in and putting the sits in start speaking up on it. Because I know the people that have been advocating for it, you know, haven't been able to really get nothing done. But
I would like to know, you know, who is not enforcing, but
making the rules,
creating these rules, and making people stick to them, and if they actually have boots on the ground. Like, I almost 100% bet you that the person or persons involved in making these rules never set foot actually in the woods. I almost bet that 100%. Because if they spent time,
they'd say we had a problem.
if they spent time in the woods, they would see the difference.
Yeah.
You know, and that may be by design. They may be bookworms, and I don't know if you've ever worked with somebody that came straight out of college and they got a degree, and all of a sudden they get hired onto your job, and they're above you, and they're supposed to be making decisions about what you're doing that you've done on a daily basis for 15 years. That's kind of what I equate it to. When I worked at the paper mill, they would hire a supervisor straight out of college and put him over me, and then he would come out there and telling me how to run a machine that I've been running for 15 years. Because his book said to do it that way. Well, it don't work that way.
Yep.
That machine had characteristics that he had nothing, that wasn't in his book.
Yeah.
That I knew what it would do.
Yeah.
But yet he was over me, so he got to make the decisions, and then I had to prove to him.
Yeah.
When he screwed everything up. Okay, you screwed it up.
Well, let's fix it.
Now I got to fix it.
And that's probably what's going on. I mean,
I feel like that's what's happening is somebody is, this is the way you're supposed to do it. This is what the numbers say. Well, you don't have boots on the ground. How do you know what the numbers are?
Yep.
You're not seeing what the actual numbers are, number one, because a bunch of rednecks ain't reporting it. That's happening. So you don't know what the numbers are. You're not seeing numbers. There's numbers being taken off this place that you have no idea about. None. So how do you make rules on numbers you don't have? And if you don't have those numbers, if you're not out there, you don't see it. We're seeing it. The whole population of people that hunt out there in Festival sees the difference. It has gone way down. It's not terrible. We still can see some deer, and it's still a fun place to hunt. But there is a trend.
not going in the right direction.
And if we keep following this trend, there won't be.
In the next I'm gonna say in the next 5 years,
Everybody's gonna find a different place to hunt.
There won't be nobody to hunt down there if it keeps going in the direction.
Everybody's getting discouraged. Everybody's having trouble.
I'll drive another hour to hunt somewhere else.
Well, it's just too many other places to hunt. I love this. I love it being right here, but literally hop in the truck and places that I hunt on Felstal, I could be somewhere else, in the same amount of time.
Yep.
And it's sad, but
it's truth.
that's the truth of it, and that's what's going to wind up happening. But at any rate, we're going to tag the recovery video of this deer in.
Yeah.
See that?
This was before our videoing days. We didn't have.
We didn't have a YouTube channel then. We didn't have anything going on. We just videoed it for ourselves to have a memory, and it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Like I say, that deer had a double throat patch. It was really, really, really pretty deer. I don't know what causes that, but it's really neat.
Also, big shout out to Vika Camouflage. They got us on their field staff last week. So go check them out on
It's
online.
VYCAH is how you spell that.
Vika. Where are they out of? Mountain Home or? It's either Mountain Home or Howard Spring. I think it's somewhere in North Arkansas.
It's in Arkansas.
Based in Arkansas,
but it is based in Arkansas. It's pretty cool.
Top of the line camouflage. We will be sporting it this year. Giving it a try. So y'all check them out. We good?
Yep, we're good. Thank y'all for watching. See y'all on the next one.
See you. Love you. Mean it.